Okay, so today I want to talk with you about the emotional toll for parents after their baby has suffered an HIE birth injury, a traumatic brain injury at birth. And this is in the context of families reaching out to us trying to figure out, okay, what caused my baby to suffer this traumatic brain injury? And if they want to take subsequent legal action, especially if medical malpractice is what has caused this child to suffer this traumatic brain injury. And in talking to you about these two areas of emotional toll today, this is a culmination of speaking with a lot of families throughout my time doing this. And one of the main ones that we hear a lot is having to relive the trauma, reliving the trauma of that labor and delivery, especially if it was an extremely, if it was a labor and delivery that was full of trauma, then this is something that parents will relive this, especially mothers. The second part of this, as we talk about the emotional toll aspect of things, is, especially for mothers, is blaming themselves as to the cause of this. In other words, saying that, well, my baby is this way because maybe it was something I could have done. I should have done something else. And so this can be really hard on mothers. And again, it just adds to that emotional toll aspect of this process. And this is something that a lot of times, families are not thinking about any of these types of issues because we hope that everything goes right. But like I tell families, especially when medical malpractice, when we do the birth injury investigation and we come back and, we see certain things and it's our, legal opinion that medical malpractice is what has caused this. In a lot of instances, it's not going to be any fault of mom and dad. There's not going to really be anything that they could have done to prevent this from happening. And so, when we talk to families and we can have a sit down and actually explain this process to them, a lot of times it begins to make a lot more sense. But like I say, for a lot of times with mothers, you can't really blame yourself. I know it's easier said than done because you have your child here and they may be dealing with a lot of challenges. But I try to remind families that in a lot of instances, it's not going to really be anything that you could have done to prevent something like this from happening. Now, to take this a step further, when we're going to the aspect of, this emotional toll, and then how does this fit in when it comes to filing a lawsuit, if that is a route you want to go. And you may not be thinking about that right now, because we've had families that have said that initially I wasn't thinking about any of this, but after talking to other professionals and looking at what's going on in my life and with my family, then this is an avenue that we want to pursue. And I just want to make sure that you understand that if you go that route, your attorney or your law firm that you hire, you retain, they're going to be throughout this process. They're going to be there with you. So you're not going to be on your own when you're having to go through these things, because when you go through this legal process, you will have to relive some of these things. You will have to tell your story. And that can be in the sense of if depositions have to be done. And remember, a deposition is essentially just a question and answer session. But when mom and dad, if you have to do a deposition, just understand that you're not going to be by yourself. Your attorneys are going to be there with you. And in a lot of instances, they have prepared you, they prep you before you have to go in to your deposition. And beforehand, you're going to be able to ask your attorneys any questions that you may have in regards to this process. So I know it can be an emotional toll. I know there can be a lot of fear in regards to this process, but you just have to remember, especially on the legal aspect of things, that you're not going to be by yourself. That's why you hired your attorney and your law firm to help you get through this process. If you have more questions, maybe you're here watching this video today because your baby has suffered a traumatic brain injury, they have an HIE brain injury, and you have questions as to the cause of the injury. If that is you, what I invite you to do is go ahead and get your cell and give me a call. There's a telephone number down below. I invite you to get your cell and give my office a call. When you contact my office, remember, initially it costs you absolutely nothing to talk with us about your baby story. And make sure that you pick a good date and a time when my secretary talks with you about getting on our calendar. Pick a good date and a time, and make sure that you provide to them a good working email address, an email address that you check frequently, because sometimes we have to correspond through email. So I just want to make sure there's an email address that you check frequently. And one more thing before I get out of here, I practice law here in the state of Maryland, and I know from time to time I have individuals who will contact me or contact us. They are in the United States, but they are not in Maryland. If that is you, just understand that if you're not in Maryland, that we have to use co-counsel or local counsel. In other words, an attorney in your state. And that's something that we can look to help you with. But I just want to make sure that you understand that co-counsel or local counsel aspect of things if you are not here in the state of Maryland. All right, that's going to be it for today's quick educational video. Again, I'm Marcus Boston, and I'm one of the childbirth injury and medical malpractice attorneys practicing law here in the state of Maryland at Boston Law Group, LLC. Talk with you next time. Take care. Enjoy the rest of your day.